never find no one in this lifetime to love you like. What am I longing for? Anytime you need a lover, call on me. Father, we seek your blessing.
I knew deep down, Yende, I knew that it wasn't okay. What was happening was not okay. The relationship, the space, the abuse.
Have you ever witnessed a shooting star burn out right before your eyes? That's exactly what happened to Jamaican reggae sensation Jah, and the tragedy is still unfolding behind Dutch prison walls as we speak. The man who gave us timeless hits like Longing For and Love Is sits in a Netherlands penitentiary right now, serving 6 years for attempted manslaughter. But this isn't his first time behind bars. It's actually his second major prison sentence, and the pattern is as heartbreaking as it is shocking. From mentorship by reggae legend Beres Hammond to Grammy nominations,
and this song becomes a perfect extension of my catalog because I learned from Beres Hammond, and anywhere Beres go, him is the legend.
From sold-out concerts to solitary confinement, Signature Alcock's story reads like the most devastating cautionary tale in reggae history. What you're about to discover about this fallen star will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about second chances, talent versus choices, and whether some people are destined to destroy everything they touch. Born Signature Alcock on October 11th, 1978 in Hanover, Jamaica, he was raised in the rough streets of Kingston, where reggae music wasn't just entertainment, it was survival. Growing up in one of Jamaica's most challenging environments, young Signature found solace in music, spending hours listening to the sounds that would shape his destiny. It was during these formative years that he met Capleton, the legendary reggae artist who would give him the name that would make him famous. Jah. By 1997, at just 18 years old, he caught his first major break when he recorded King in This Jungle, a powerful duet with Sizzla that immediately announced him as reggae's next big thing. But the real game changer was that the track was produced by none other than Beres Hammond, the smooth-voiced legend who saw something special in this young artist. Hammond didn't just produce the song. He became his mentor, guiding his early career and producing much of his studio work. Under Hammond's guidance, he began releasing a steady stream of singles that showcased not just his golden voice, but his ability to blend conscious lyrics with irresistible melodies. The reggae community was buzzing about this new talent who seemed destined for greatness. In 1998, he joined Hammond and the Harmony House family on a European tour, performing across several Caribbean islands and building an international fan base. But just as his star was rising to its brightest point, everything came crashing down in the most devastating way possible. In November 1998, while driving around Montego Bay, he was pulled over by police in what would become the most controversial arrest in reggae history. The charges were serious: gun possession, robbery, and SA. The story that emerged was harrowing. A local woman had identified him to police as the man who had SA'd and robbed her at gunpoint. The case immediately became a media sensation, dividing Jamaica and the reggae community. Countless fans and fellow artists protested Jah's innocence. Free Jah campaigns sprouted up across Jamaica and internationally, with supporters pointing to inconsistencies in the prosecution's case and questioning the reliability of the identification. In April 1999, despite the protests and questions surrounding the case, he was found guilty and sentenced to 15 years in prison. He was just 20 years old, and his meteoric rise to reggae stardom had been completely derailed. But what happened next would prove that talent can flourish even in the darkest circumstances. Rather than letting prison destroy his spirit, he turned his cell into a recording studio. The Tower Street Adult Correctional Center in Kingston, Jamaica, had a digital recording studio that inmates could use. From behind prison walls, he began creating some of the most emotionally powerful music of his career. His first album, Free Jah's Care, the album The Truth, was released in 2000, just 1 year into his sentence. The title itself was a declaration of his claimed innocence, and the music was raw, emotional, and undeniably brilliant. This was followed by Ghetto Life in 2003 and Freedom Blues in 2005. These weren't just albums, they were testimonials from a man fighting to maintain his sanity and his artistry while locked away from the world. Songs like True Reflections, Love Is, and Longing For became massive hits, not despite being recorded in prison, but perhaps because of it. The pain, the isolation, the yearning for freedom, all of these emotions poured out in his music with an authenticity that couldn't be manufactured.
Ironically, he became more famous behind bars than he had ever been as a free man.
The controversy surrounding his case never died down. Fans, fellow artists, and legal observers continued to question the conviction. The case dominated media headlines and barbershop conversations for months, with many pointing to procedural irregularities and questionable evidence.
But despite the ongoing protests of his innocence, he remained locked up. After serving 8 years of his 15-year sentence, on July 28, 2007, he was released on parole.
The reggae world held its breath as the man who had become a symbol of perseverance walked out of Tower Street Prison at 5 a.m., avoiding the crowds of fans and media who had gathered to witness his release. Scores of chalice-carrying Rastafarians were at the prison gate to greet their brother, and the entire reggae community celebrated what they saw as the return of a wrongfully imprisoned king. Prison guards spoke positively about his character during his incarceration.
He was a well-behaved inmate. We never have no problem with him.
Another added,
Yes, man. Him just love him music. Him did all right.
this wasn't a hardened criminal being released. This was an artist who had spent 8 years perfecting his craft under the most difficult circumstances imaginable.
Upon his release, he immediately set about rebuilding his career and his life.
In 2008, he released True Reflections, A New Beginning, an album that marked his official return to the music world as a free man. The album was both a celebration of his freedom and a reflection on his experiences behind bars.
In 2011, he married TV host and producer Camila McDonald in a beautiful ceremony in Sandy Bay, Hanover.
The wedding was seen as another step in his redemption story, the reformed man starting a new chapter with the woman he loved. The couple welcomed a daughter on February 20th, 2012, named Kailani Bell, which means beautiful chief from the heavens.
For several years, it seemed like he had successfully rebuilt his life.
He was touring internationally, releasing successful albums, and had even been nominated for a Grammy Award. His 2015 album, The Cure, was a masterpiece that earned him the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album.
I know everybody knows that the last album was nominated this time. The best of me is yet to come.
The 13-track compilation featuring songs like Life We Live and That Girl was declared as a certified classic by ABC News, while Forbes magazine proclaimed Cure the best voice in reggae today.
In interviews promoting the album, his confidence was undeniable.
I have to make a step from another level, and if I don't achieve that in this album, that means I'm going backward.
I declared it as a classic before ABC News because when I look at the body of work and the time that I spent, I deliberately tell myself that I mean where am I going, and I have to make a step from another level.
The album stayed on the charts for an unprecedented 17 weeks, peaking at #1, a remarkable achievement for a reggae artist. As he explained,
And I look at these things, I said, you know what? I'm gonna put some work in and I'm gonna make a mixture of fusion music where everywhere in the world, you can hear an element of something that belongs to you.
His success strategy was intentional and business-minded. He had learned from his earlier disappointments. I produced this album. This is my investment. Every artist should take a page out of my book. I'm following Barris, which I also took a page out of Jay-Z Puff Daddy book. He was building his own studio in Montego Bay and planning to sign new artists, showing the entrepreneurial spirit that many thought would keep him on the right path. But even during this period of success, personal troubles were brewing. During interviews, he was forced to address rumors about his marriage to Camila McDonald falling apart.
I love my wife, and I'm sure she loves me. I have a beautiful daughter. Whatever happened between me and my wife, it's between us. The world, me just beg some people to come out of our life and give me a break because everybody have them issues at times. Nobody is perfect.
But success couldn't erase the lingering effects of his legal troubles.
he was disqualified from the MOBO Awards after organizers learned of his essay conviction.
The severity of the crime was cited as the reason for his removal from the Best Reggae Acts category.
He couldn't get visas to travel to America, England, or Canada, severely limiting his ability to tour and promote his music internationally.
In interviews, he spoke about the ongoing impact of his past. It was 8 years that I suffered that humiliation. It's now been 4 years since I was released, and I still don't have a visa to travel to America, England, or Canada. The invisible chains of his conviction continued to limit his opportunities, even as a free man. His marriage to Camilla McDonald, which had seemed like a fairy tale ending to his troubles, was hiding dark secrets that would eventually explode into public view.
While he was promoting the Cure album and speaking about minor marital issues, the reality behind closed doors was far more devastating.
What that represented for me was that there was some deep, dark things happening at that time that I had to cover up.
Years later, Camilla would courageously speak out about the abuse she endured during their marriage, revealing the true reason their relationship ended. In a heartbreaking interview, she disclosed,
She went from being Flavor Flav's rejected date to the undisputed queen of VH1, building its spin-off empire bigger than some people's actual careers.
The abuse wasn't just physical, it was psychological, emotional, and had a devastating impact on their daughter, Kailani. Camilla described the moment she knew she had to leave.
I got called in from the principal that day, and that was the day that I said, it's enough. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it on my own, but I can't put her through this anymore.
There was one big wake-up call for me. It was an incident at her school. It was as a repercussion of something that she saw. I got called in from the principal that day, and that was the day I said it's enough. She repeated what she saw happen at home. She repeated what she saw. The trauma of witnessing domestic violence had affected their young daughter so severely that she was acting it out at school. Camila realized she couldn't allow this cycle to continue.
If I stayed in that situation and accepted that life for whatever reason, then that would now define for her what is normal. That would define for her how a man should treat her.
As a child of two incredibly beautiful humans who were happily married 38 years later, how could I now create a cycle that I didn't see for myself? The decision to leave wasn't easy for Camila, who had to rebuild her life while dealing with public scrutiny and the challenge of co-parenting with an abuser.
Our body gives us little whispers at first, even from a health perspective.
Yes.
And then it gives us little shouts.
She described her body giving her warning signals. Our body gives us little whispers at first, and then it gives us little shouts. And then it's really hard to scream like, sis, you are not okay. Run. Run for your life. Go and make a new life for yourself. The couple divorced in 2017, but the revelations about the domestic abuse wouldn't become public until years later.
This context makes his violent attack on the Amsterdam promoter in 2021 even more disturbing. It shows a pattern of using violence to solve disputes, whether personal or professional. But he pressed on, continuing to make music and tour in the countries that would have him.
His albums World Cry, Royal Soldier, and Undeniable show that his artistic abilities hadn't diminished, and he maintained a loyal fan base who appreciated both his music and his perseverance. However, the pattern that would define his life was about to repeat itself in the most shocking way possible.
On October 1st, 2021, he was in Amsterdam, nearing the end of what had been a successful 3-month European tour.
He had performed in Germany, Belgium, and Spain, sharing his music with audiences who appreciated his artistry regardless of his past. But a dispute with a promoter named Nicardo, Papa Blake, over unpaid performance fees was about to change everything. According to court documents and witness statements, Blake owed Jah 5,000 euros for his performance at a concert. When Blake failed to pay, tensions escalated rapidly. CCTV footage captured what happened next. In broad daylight, in Amsterdam's busy Dam Square,
he stabbed Blake in the stomach with a knife. The attack was brutal and shocking. This wasn't a crime of passion, hidden away from public view. This was a violent assault in one of Amsterdam's most public spaces, witnessed by countless people and recorded on multiple security cameras. Voice messages allegedly sent by Jah to Blake were later used as evidence in court. Jah was arrested arrested immediately and taken to an Amsterdam penitentiary, where he has remained ever since. The man who had spent 8 years behind bars in Jamaica found himself facing the possibility of spending even more time in a foreign prison, far from his family and homeland. The trial began in March 2022, with Jah facing charges ranging from attempted murder to attempted manslaughter and aggravated assault. Prosecutors pushed for an 8-year sentence, citing public fear from a daylight stabbing in a busy public square. They argued that
the premeditated attack and its impacts on public safety warranted the harshest possible sentence.
On March 22, 2022, the verdict came down. He was acquitted of the attempted unaliving charge, but found guilty of attempted manslaughter.
The court ruled that his actions were not premeditated attempted murder, but they were still serious enough to warrant significant punishment. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, with credit for the time he had already served since his October 2021 arrest. But the legal drama didn't end there. Unsatisfied with the acquittal on the attempted murder charge, Dutch prosecutors immediately appealed the decision.
this means his case is still ongoing, and he faces the possibility of an even longer sentence if the appeal succeeds.
Under Dutch law, a pro forma hearing must be held every 90 days to determine whether he should remain in detention while the appeal process continues. Each time, the answer has been the same: he stays locked up. As of 2025, Jah remains behind bars in the Netherlands, with no set date for when the appeal will be heard. The irony is devastating. The man who recorded his most famous song, True Reflections, behind these prison walls, about his first incarceration, now finds himself literally behind prison walls again, in a foreign country, fighting charges that could keep him locked up for years to come. Recent reports indicate that Jah is being held at Ter Apel prison in the Netherlands, and despite rumors circulating in May 2025 about his possible release, he remains incarcerated. His cryptic social media posts, including a photo taken from inside what appeared to be an airplane, sparked speculation among fans, but Dutch authorities confirmed he was still in custody. His current situation is complicated by the ongoing appeal process. Dutch prosecutors are pushing to reinstate the attempted murder charge, which could significantly extend his sentence. But as of now, there's still no official release date in sight. The tragedy of Jah story extends beyond just the legal consequences. This is a man with an estimated net worth of $1 million who had overcome incredible odds to rebuild his career and reputation after his first prison sentence. He was a Grammy winner, a father, and an inspiration to many who saw him as proof that people could change and redemption was possible. His influence on reggae music cannot be overstated. Songs like Longing For, Love Is, and That Girl are considered classics of the genre.
Jah is the first artist in the world, in this world, to make #1 songs from a prison cell.
His ability to convey raw emotion through his vocals influenced countless younger artists, and his story of creating music behind prison walls inspired many who faced their own struggles.
Current reggae stars still cite him as a major influence, praising his vocal technique and his ability to blend traditional reggae with contemporary sounds. His collaborations with artists across different genres showed the universal appeal of his music, and his Grammy win proved that artistic excellence could triumph over personal adversity.
But now, as he approaches his 47th birthday behind bars in a Dutch prison, the question becomes, what happens next? October 2025 will mark 4 years of his 6-year sentence, but with the ongoing appeal, his future remains uncertain. If Dutch prosecutors succeed in their appeal, he could face an even longer sentence for attempted murder. The saddest part of this story might be the pattern it reveals. Jah served 8 years for his first conviction, rebuilt his life and career, achieved international success, and then found himself back in prison for another violent crime. For his fans, it's heartbreaking to watch a man with so much talent repeatedly make choices that destroy everything he's worked to build. His story serves as both inspiration and cautionary tale, proof that extraordinary talent can emerge from the darkest circumstances, but also a reminder that talent alone isn't enough to guarantee a life free from self-destructive decisions. The reggae star who once sang about longing for freedom now finds himself once again longing for freedom from behind prison walls. Whether Jah here will ever truly be free, not just physically, but from the pattern of choices that keeps landing him in prison, remains to be seen. For now, he remains where his most famous song title suggests, behind these prison walls. Still making music, still hoping for redemption, still serving as both an inspiration and a warning to anyone who believes that talent alone can overcome the consequences of our actions.